Hello there. So now I want to take you around Creator. Let's take a quick browse around our Creator tool and how you can use it to create Lottie animations. Think of Creator as kind of like After Effects for the web. It's an animation application that has keyframes and properties that you can then use to animate anything. And this is the main view. So you will start in the Get Started tab here, right? And you will start with the main scene that you can define the sizes here in your inspector area. You can define the time as well, right? So let's do this. Let's make this 3 seconds, right? And the FPS, if you have guidelines and grids, you can manage that all from here. You will start in the Get Started tab. You can see all the recent files that you've been working on, some started assets, even tools to, learn a little bit more about Creator and anything that's new. So I'll grab one of these elements just to play around with, pretty much. So once I'm there, you will see you start having your layers here, and here's your timeline where you will find all the layers and all the different properties that are being animated for that. On the left side, you have your toolbar, right? You can upload assets. Here's where you manage motion tokens, which we're going to show you in a little bit. Access to your workspace and the content of your workspace. Access to motion systems. You can go to the motion systems video to see that. You can add plugins as well, right? As long as that makes sense. And from there, you have some community animations, premium assets available from here, duplicator, which enables you to duplicate things. These are all plugins already. The motion presets, which are super useful. The spring curve to set up spring curves very nicely. This is a repository of logos that you might be needing in an animation. Physics simulator, which is super cool. And we can have prompt to vector, so you can create vectors just by writing a simple AI prompt. And the universal file importer to import any kind of file. But let's get started with a simple animation here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put my playhead here at 0 frames. I'm going to move this to the left. I can make it maybe a tiny bit smaller, right? And I will probably make it a little bit semi-transparent. Right, something like this, a little bit. So then I have to set keyframes for all of this, right? So in order to set a keyframe, you will find the keyframe marker in every property, right next to every property. So here I want one for the opacity, one for the rotation, one for the sizing, and one for the position. And you can see in this shape layer, you can see all of them have been, set up here, all these keyframes. I can then move my playhead, let's say 1 second in or maybe 2 seconds in, and I can then move it. And by that, it will immediately create a keyframe. I can expand it as well, right? And it will also create a keyframe there, right? It creates immediately keyframes that you can see here. I will then make it fully opaque and rotate it, let's say, about 2 times, right? And boom, that's all I need to create an animation. If I take my playhead back to the start, I can play this animation, and there you go. It's rotating towards the center. This movement might feel a little bit dull. So if you select your keyframes here, you can select the smooth easing, right? And you can have, customized easing here that you can select and pick whatever kind of easing you want or make your own. So now that I've done this, if I go back and try it out, you can very quickly check and see. There you go. That's looking a little bit more natural. Right, so if I go back, let's say up to this point, from here you can see all the properties of this, the color, right, which you can change here, and you can associate any properties to a token. So if you see that little arrow that is popping up here, you can apply a token to this, and from there you can create a new token or browse your motion tokens and apply them. In this case, we don't have any, so we will need to create a new one. Let's say it's going to be the main color, and they shouldn't have spaces. So there you go. And now that I've done that, I can go to my token browser and I can see main color is set up there. So that's a quick overview. Let's say I'm happy with this particular movement. I can select these keyframes. And if I wanted to save this to make it available in a motion system or to make it available as a preset for my workspace, you can always go to the motion presets tool. From here, you have a starter pack that we give you, but you can also, browse your workspace effects that are pre-made or your private ones if you have your own. And from there, you can also add one. So you can see we'll take this movement and kind of like create it, and we will call this, spin in, let's say. And I can save it privately or to my workspace and can define which workspace and save it. That's all it takes. This is now saved and it's called spin in, right? So if I go and grab and create another element here on my top, this toolbar will enable to create any kind of element. So I will go and make a little star, right? Let's make this star kind of like yellow. And I wanted to do kind of that same effect. So I can go back to the motion presets, and here in my workspace, I should have a spin in set up. Actually, before I that, let me move this to the right place and then do it again. So go to the motion presets and apply that. So once I'm done, 2 seconds in, then you can see it's already being applied. And if I test it, these two should move in tandem. So that's motion presets, and that's one of the coolest features. If I wanted to save this to a workspace, these motion presets will now be available. And if you go to the to the motion system video, you can save it to the motion system. That's part of your workspace. So it's available from anywhere. Let's say you wanted to apply a different motion preset to this. So I can grab this guy and I can say, hey, you know, I want to apply a different motion preset. So you can go here, go through the ones that you have in your workspace. I have here one that does like a little ball drop and bounce. So I will apply it and I will check it out. I'll do it from the start, apply. And if I apply, I will say, hey, please replace every keyframe, or I can add it to the ones I have, but I will replace in this case. And you can see it's being applied now, and it's going to be like a bouncing star kind of thing. So if I go and play it, boom, it's bouncing off there. All the keyframes are being applied, and all of it has been set up. So that's pretty cool. When it comes to tokens, the power of tokens is really, really, really powerful. And as you can see, when I go to tokens, you can see that this has a default value, but I can add another theme and make this a different color, right? So if I go and apply this, let's say, and let's not do blue, let's do, I don't know, pink. And if I apply this other theme here, which I, can rename and say, it's going to be my pink theme, let's say, I will go and as I'm playing this animation, you can see that this is now pink. Or I can switch it to the default one, it's green, or switch it to pink, and it's now pink. So that's theming, and that's really powerful. Let me show you an example of how this can apply. So if I were to go here, you see that I got some strawberry ice cream here, right? As I'm playing it, everything here is set up with tokens. So if I check the tokens on this file, you see that I have a dark color, a light color, mid colors, even the text can be set as tokens, pricing can be set as tokens, all of it. You can manage that from here, and as I'm playing, you can go and switch the theme and change the type of ice cream that it's happening, which is pretty cool. Also, as I'm working on this, you can create different segments. In order to create a segment, you will need to go here to the segments tool, and these segments will set you a particular set of frames inside an animation. And those frames, you can say from the frame 0 to frame 90 and create a segment name. And those frames can then be used to trigger different parts of the animation in a state machine. To give you that example, you can jump in here to state machines and you will see every segment here, and you can just drag them in and start creating your state machines. If I were to show you this in a one that is already created, right? Let me go back and see animate here. You can see the segments, and these segments are from the frame 88 to 107, right? And the reaction part and the idle state is from frame 0 to 31. So this does a little bounce there, then it shows all the bits, and then it kind of hides it. So if I go to state machines, then I can grab these different frames and kind of connect them with different inputs and triggers, and then I can have this animation kind of like start bouncing up there on idle. Once I click on it, it does the react part, then goes to the close state, and then goes back to idle. So just by connecting this and doing all the proper interactions and inputs, I can create state machines and create interactive animations very quickly. What else can we do in Lottie Creator? Well, one important thing, one of my favorite things is the physics simulator. So let's try that out, right? So if I were to go back to the anime section, let's just reset all of this, and I want to start from scratch. And I will say, let's say I want to, grab this element and kind of like make it bounce a little bit. So I will put it at the bottom and say, hey, I want to make it bounce a little bit. So instead of doing the animation and going through every keyframe, kind of like where it will go, how it will move, I can go to the physics simulator, and it makes it very intuitive and very easy. You can define boundaries of your animation in case you want things popping out of the animation. But in this case, I don't want to. And then you can define the force of gravity, how long the animation will take, and insert it either at the playhead or at the start. Then you can apply a force to an element, right? And you can decide, well, this element here kind of like gonna be pushed to the top, and then the gravity will bring it down. Can define the mass, the initial force, the friction, and then I can, once you have played with it a little bit, you can just preview and see, okay, there you go. It's right there. So I would say maybe I want to apply just a little bit more of a side force here. There you go. And maybe increase a little bit of the as for air friction. So let's make this 0.10. So it will drag out a little bit more. It's a little bit too much, I think. So 0.01 I think is fine. And let's still try that. That makes it feel more realistic. And you can see it's bouncing there and kind of like doing a little bit of spinning around. So once I'm happy with the animation that I want, I can just insert it, and it will insert every keyframe that I needed. So you can see all the keyframes are there, and I just play it, and boom, it feels realistic, it feels natural, makes it super easy to create realistic simulation, realistic movement into an animation. For the spring curve, if you want the things to be accelerated or deaccelerated, you can define that here, define a little bit of, how much the duration, the bounce on every keyframe you can apply. You can apply screen curves that applies to the position and rotation and so on. You can see some extra keyframes were generated. It's going to make it, a little bit more bouncy probably, and there you go. It's doing a little bit of a hiccup there. But what else? We have also the SVGL logos, which is a repository of logos that you can browse around and insert any in vector format. And with that, I think we have a quick overview. You have, of course, your alignment tools, trim path or roundness for rectangles, a bunch of stuff depending on different elements that you're working on. But what I wanted to give you is a simple entrance into creating with Lottie Creator. How do you get here? Final bit. You either go to creator.lottiefiles.com, and that will take you to a start a new animation. Or if you are in your workspace, you can always go here and say create animation, and that will take you to Lottie Creator just as well. Thank you.